Welcome back, beautiful tri state area. You're listening to a moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in our innovation and tech segment, brought to you by Caldwell Soames, we're featuring the amazing Grace Gong, founder of Smart Venture Media and the host of Smart Venture Podcasts, a top 10 VC podcast. Grace is featured on the list of LinkedIn top voices in finance for 2022. She is the author of The Last Key to Success, which features 21 founders on Forbes 30 Under 30, and How to Be a VC, which ranked number one new release on Amazon's VC category. Today, we're chatting generative artificial intelligence in the workplace, what it means for your job, and should CEOs and companies be embracing it? Now, artificial intelligence describes algorithms such as ChatGPT that can be used to create new content, including audio, code, images, text, simulations, and video. Recent breakthroughs in the field have the potential to drastically change the way we approach content creation. That's why ChatGPT is receiving so much attention right now. ChatGPT, the GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. It's a free chatbot that can generate an answer to almost any questions it's asked. Developed by OpenAI and released for testing to the general public back in November of 2022, it's already considered the best AI chatbot ever. And it's popular too. Over millions of people have signed up all over the world. Now, while much has been made about AI's potential to destroy our jobs, workers whose tasks overlap with capabilities of software like ChatGPT are embracing the technology to do away with drudge work, to be more creative, and to level up their skill. Will your job eventually be replaced by a robot? What do experts have to say about AI in the workforce? Welcoming now to the show is the amazing Grace Gong. Welcome, my beautiful friend.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. This is the second time, and we're excited to feature you again.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. And yeah, like you said, generative AI is very popular right now. And I really like in that you kind of explain to the audience what it is because people may not familiar with the technological terms. However, I feel like a lot of people are using it day to day without even knowing it, right? So
Without a doubt. And so that's my question to you. So marketers are using AI to write better copy.
mhm.
Programmers are using it to take on projects that were previously out of their league or read code in unfamiliar languages. And it seems like everyone's now using it to summarize or write emails and boilerplate documents. Tell me, Grace, should employers be embracing generative AI in the workplace? And if so, what kind of boundaries should be set?
Totally. I think that's such a great question. I think first of all, in my personal opinion, I definitely feel like CEO and leaders should definitely look into the sector to study it and learn about number one, what is the best tool for the what are the tools that you could be leveraged into your workspace. I've heard of big companies that are starting to kind of replacing human workforce with certain type of certain type of AI tools, for example, let's say legal or any type of research driven job. And then even in the restaurants, people who are serving the customers. And I feel like a lot of things are already starting. You can see the switch of people are leveraging the tools instead of human being. However, that does bring up a lot of different challenges and problems, right? So I don't think AI will entirely replace all kind of human workforce. A lot of things are with have to be dealt with a lot of nuances. AI is there to help us, and instead of us getting replaced by it. I think one of the good benchmark to set up a to set up a guideline is to maybe look into what are break down the task of your current employee on what they're doing right now, and then what are something doesn't really require any kind of like ethical judgment because of like a lot of these AI tools that are, although they're trained by large amount of data, but the data sets have different kind of qualities. So it's really hard to tell until like they made a mistake. So to avoid that, I feel like it's really important to kind of like separate your, what are some like um traditional like kind of like judgment that's on like particular ethic related things, to like set that to like the human being, or like people setting some sort of protocol for the human to implement it instead of just leveraging machine
Yeah, it's
directly.
true. You're 100% right. You have to really put in a certain level of judgment, and it's really up to the core management and the top tier management, and trickles down on how they're going to implement this across the workforce. Now, all these artificial intelligence enthusiasts posted examples of the chatbot producing computer code, college level essays, poems, and even halfway
Mhm.
decent jokes. Others among this wide range of people who earn their living by creating content, from advertising copywriters to tenured professors, are
Mhm.
kind of shaking in their boots. Back in January, over 40% of Americans said they were using generative AI technology at work, and that rate was going to likely get higher. And at the same time, about half of Americans think that AI could negatively impact the number of jobs in the US. So, it's a double-edged sword. But this is in its infancy right now. So, Grace, my question to you is: people say they're using these tools on tasks they hate, that allow them to focus on what they love. It's a sentiment white collar workers expressed over and over again, and it's part of why companies like Microsoft are leaning into AI so heavily into the workplace tools. Now, not all work, to your point, is good work, and soon Microsoft says workers will be able to ask AI powered tools to make Excel perform complex equations, to have PowerPoint build presentations, and to summarize Outlook emails, all within seconds, and by, talking to them like you would a person. So, which career and/or industries, Grace, in your opinion, will benefit the most from artificial intelligence?
I think in a broader level, it's every industry in a way, because think about like, let's say like we use PowerPoint as example, right? Like recently I've chatted with a founder in the Bay Area, then they created a sort of like auto-generated PowerPoint, or like auto-generated storytelling tool to for people to showcase their ideas. So you can basically type in one sentence of, let's say we want to write a pitch deck for your show, and like, so like let's say I want to pitch myself to your show as a guest, and then I will write one sentence of like pitching myself to Zen's show, and then like then within like 1 second it will generate like a 15 pages pitch deck to like, and then so I can like directly send it to you, or like with some kind of minor editing, and then I can send it to you. So essentially like a lot of these tools are already kind of existed out there, and then like without people even noticing it. For example, let's say you got recommended by certain food app, and then like those algorithms are getting more and more intelligent, so they're generated by data instead of generated by like a human selection on, we vote this is the best food in your area. So I
Right.
feel like a lot of times like people don't really notice that was behind the scenes. So I feel like every category of work could be just like automatically changed by these tools. And in the nature of like the technology shift, I feel like in the future we'll see more people's job are focusing on like, uh editing, or like based on, how do you write the best prompt for AI to help you generate something, instead of like, in the past people have to manually write a pitch deck and then manually edit it and then manually send it to you or send it to someone else.
Yeah, this is definitely taking the taking control of the situation in a very progressed way, and cutting out that middleman. Now, it's interesting because artificial intelligence, of course, as we know, is a fast evolving technology with all this amazing potential to make workers more productive, to make firms more efficient, and to spur innovation in new products and services. I mean, that's at the core of it all. And at the same time, AI can be used to automate existing jobs, to your point, and exasperate inequality. And it can also lead to discrimination against workers, though. So, what should employers and CEOs be mindful of to avoid misuse of the technology?
I would say, like, set yourself, like, basically, like, setting a trial group first. Like, so for example, maybe you test it within a smaller group of employees that are, like, more experienced, or like people that are like knowing that they're just testing these tools out before you launch it to your whole company. I think, like, number one is like, testing out what can go wrong before you implement into your whole workspace. And number two is like, just be mindful of, like, these are tools. These are not technically, it's sort of like, sometimes when you drive a car, you can crash it because of like
Yeah,
some uncertainty issues. And like, it's not because of the car, or it's not because of like the road. It's sometimes it's because of the human who are driving it. And then, like, just, again, like, as a leader, you are in the driver's seat. So like, where to go and then how fast you want to go are all depends on you. So just be mindful of, like, you can control this. And then, like, this is all within your control if you really want to. So I feel like those are things that I
you
would.
have to be in the driver's seat. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't let the robot control you, and you
Mhm.
gotta definitely know how you're dispersing this across your workplace. Now, we have about 2.5 minutes left. I'm hoping you can answer this question quickly. So let's talk investments really quickly. So companies employ artificial intelligence in two main ways. Many tech companies use AI to make their existing operations more powerful, such as through high-profile applications, including
Mhm.
robotics, self-driving cars, and virtual assistants. Google, a subsidiary of Alphabet, uses AI to filter out spam for Gmail users. Amazon uses AI to recommend products to customers, while Netflix uses AI to guide content creation and recommendation. As a venture capitalist, Grace, what do you look for when investing in AI businesses or global enterprises that show potential? You have about 2 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's such a great question. So in general, I feel like one of the biggest potential is in um just like the AI of workspace. I'm like very personally very excited about that, because people every single day people spend around like half of its time to like actually spend at work, right? So I feel like a lot of these work tools can maximize how we interact with each other, even in our like life. So I personally feel like the AI in the workspace are something that I'm really, really passionate about.
So
And
you
then,
like to look for businesses that already are that are already integrating AI in their workforce, essentially. And when looking for investments, potentially, is that what you're saying?
yeah, totally. I'm more like bullish about like the AI native companies. So like, when you're looking at, this is not something that I would even, well, like it's something that's like already really, really successful. It's not like a startup or anything, but like, well, it is still a startup, but it's like a fast growing startup. Let's say, a startup that could help you generate like the PowerPoint, like Tome, and or like, Runway ML, that can help you to generate any kind of like images, or like movie, even like just by, typing in words, or like, doing minor changes, or like describing what you want. And then I think those things are extremely exciting, because I feel like I can see that being like very broadly used by many people that benefit them from doing really hideous tasks. So I feel like the AI in the workspace is something that I feel like people should invest in, especially like, living in this age. I feel like people are like working in a combination of like remote work, as well as like, being in the office. People are collaborating overseas, as well as like, just there's just so much more ways for us to leverage this technology, instead of like, we have to.
Instead of resisting it, yes.
Yeah,
No, I
totally.
couldn't agree more. Well, listen, we're out of time. Thank you so much for coming on. It was so insightful. Always a pleasure chatting with you. Smart and beautiful.
Thank you so much. You too. And yeah, like I definitely love the show, and I feel like you guys bring on so many diverse set of guests, and I always learn so much by just watching it or listening to it.
Well, it takes experts like you to come on. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much, then.
Guys, that was the amazing Grace Gong. That was our innovation and tech segment brought to you by Caldwell Soames. The truth is that we don't know how artificial intelligence technologies will impact work. The fear is that if tools make existing tasks take hours instead of days, employers might hire fewer employees to get the job done or make their work part time. The hope is that while the new technology could cause some disruption in what people do, it will ultimately, and I truly believe this, lead to more and better work, much like previous technological advancements such as the personal computer or, hey, even the internet. Didn't spell the end of white collar jobs now, did it? So for now, we know that Americans who've chosen to deploy this technology at work seem to like it. They certainly don't feel like frogs boiling in a pot. That was our innovation and tech segment brought to you by Caldwell Soames. That was the amazing Grace Gong, founder and CEO of Smart Venture Media and host of Smart Venture Podcasts. Definitely check them out at svppro.com. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Caldwell Soames Incorporated, investing globally in transformative businesses like Original Digital Corporation, or ODC. ODC develops advanced consumer and commercial fintech solutions such as OG Pay, which will transform the way you manage your money. From sending and receiving money globally for free, paying for goods and services in person and online, pay bills, buy and sell digital currencies, all while earning interest. OG Pay is easy to set up, FDIC insured, and your information is secured. Check out ogpay.com.